anyone about your real life or about what it is that scares you, that somehow, some way, it's going to be used against you. So I want to talk to you this morning about how vulnerability saved me. Vulnerability saved me, and how I believe that vulnerability can save you too. Now, for those of you who've been following along, you understand that we are all about helping you live the most amazing life by speaking up and advocating for yourself, having the courage to use your voice, to stand in your power, to know that it's not you against the world, really, honestly, it's you against you. It's what's going on in between your ears and the stories that you've believed over the years, and how you have really built this, I will call a self-imposed prison in your life that disallows you to be able to step forth in your truth. And I believe vulnerability is one of the areas that you and I need to step into boldly. And the reason is because it releases that prison, but also the fear of you being able to do the things that you know you want to do. So that being said, I want to talk to you more about how vulnerability saved me and how it gave me my license and it gave me the permission to be myself. Now, if you've been following along with me, you know that I've talked about the story of Steve Krull. And for those of you who have not, I'll just briefly talk about that story and transition to how this vulnerability saved me and how it can save you too. So Steve Krull was the chief legal officer at Owens Corning, where I was there, working there after leaving a previous job and coming into this organization and just feeling so lost and so like, oh my gosh, I should be happy in this job, but I'm not, because I know there's something else calling me. I know there's something else that I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And then out of the blue, Steve Krull asks me to run the United Way campaign. I hadn't been at Owens Corning maybe for 8 months. And here he was asking me to run the United Way campaign. And the thing he said to me was, Diana, we want you to run the United Way campaign, but it's a real life campaign. And we're talking about real life stories, and we want to know yours. And for those of you who were in my previous lives, you know that I was so scared to share with the chief legal officer of this organization about my story and talk about my real life. Of course, I responded, well, what do you want to know? Really on the defense, because those of you who know, you've been taught in corporate America, keep your professional life professional and your personal life personal, and don't talk about yourself. Well, here I had this invitation for me to talk about myself, and I did. And I was scared. And I felt after sharing my story that I was going to be found out, that I would lose my job. You know, all these negative stories were going on in my head, all lies, all a self-imposed prison. But I did feel that I could trust him. But the bigger issue, as you heard me talk about before, it's about trusting myself, that I could trust myself to be myself. And that was the match that lit, because after I shared my story with Steve and I went back to his office, he said to me, Diana, now I know why I chose you to run the United Way campaign. Diana, your story is amazing. You should share it more often. And of course, I walked away from that experience like just in awe, in as if, you know, that the like my this whole layer was released from my life. I felt free. I felt, whoa, like I just really honestly knew that my life had purpose and meaning. And I hate to say that that one experience just shifted everything for me, because I had so many stories built up in my head and the pedestal that I even put people in the organization. I put people in the organizations like chief people who had the name chief something or executive something. I put in my mind them in a pedestal, and I and also diminished my story and felt so much shame about it, not realizing that that was my ticket. That's my superpower, right? Because it's through the healing of my story and understanding who I am. That's what brings me. And so from that experience, everything changed, right? Everything changed. I think I may have told you guys, I wrote about it in my book, Inspiration in My Shoes. I actually wrote this chapter, this entire chapter dedicated to the training, and my difference is my difference maker. Because once I started training in the fact that I'm different for a reason, and it's my story that really helps people understand that, everything changed. And that's the vulnerability that I need you all to come to. I'm not saying you have to write a book. I'm saying that you got to get real with your story. You got to get real with your life. It's the only thing that distinguishes you on Chat GPT, right? Chat GPT, everybody's, oh, AI, woo, woo, woo. But how do we continue to understand what makes us different, what makes us unique and amazing? And I'm telling you that this vulnerability is what saved me. Now, here's the kicker. By the way, I wrote this book, and then because I knew I wanted to help young women, I wrote this leadership book and the workbook that goes along with it. Why? Because I was serious about helping my younger self. Now, check this out. I'll leave that right there. Check this out. Was it a week after I had the conversation with Steve Krull? A week after I had that conversation with Steve Krull, I'm in the treadmill, on the treadmill in Owens Corning, in the workout area. For those of you who work at Owens Corning, you know it's a great workout area. Most large organizations have those workout areas. And I'm on the treadmill, and I pick up this magazine. It's called Health Magazine, and here is one of those subscriptions. Okay, Health Magazine. I'm reading Health Magazine on the treadmill, walking, and there was this headline, and it said, "Do you feel you're the face of health?" And of course, without hesitation, in my mind, I'm like, yeah. This is me in my mind and in my spirit. And it says, tell us your story. No lie. It said, tell us your story and why you believe you're the face of health. Okay. So you have to understand that was 2000. And at the time, it was 2004. Okay. And, I've been, and Steve Krull just asked me a week before to share my story. So I'm like, whoa, I wonder if I should tell the real story. No, I'm going to tell the real story. So I took that magazine article and I did a bad thing. I actually ripped it out of the magazine. When people do that, that's horrible. I did that. I'm so sorry, Owens Corning. But I ripped that piece out of the magazine and I took it home with me and I started writing, right? That was the first time I actually wrote down my story. Like I actually sat down with a typewriter and started writing out my story. And the beautiful thing is it was like, I just went into this trance. I totally just started writing out. Probably by the time I got done, I had like 4 pages of my story written. And of course, I didn't read the fine print that it said only 200 words or less. You guys, I had like 5,000 words, but that was the beginning of me writing out my story. And, what you don't know is that a part of winning this health magazine was you getting a trip. So the beautiful thing was you get to win a trip to New York City. You get to do a photo shoot, go out to dinner, and kind of like hobnob with all the big wigs in health magazine, right? And join a couple other women who would win. So I went ahead and I submitted it, and I won. I was one of the Health Magazine's Women of the Year. And in the October 2004 edition of Health Magazine. I can't wait to show that to you. And what you also don't know is that it was probably 10 years before that time, I was going to go to New York City and I was going to model. But unfortunately, my brother took his life. And I didn't get the opportunity to go to New York City. I didn't get the opportunity to model. I actually, when my brother took his life, I had a big turn of events and I decided that wasn't for me. I needed to stay in law school, become an attorney. Here I was now getting the opportunity to go to New York City with Health Magazine. Why? Because vulnerability saved me. Vulnerability saved me. And it helped me put a tragedy to rest. And I actually have a couple things to share with you. One is the Health Magazine. This is Health Magazine. This is the October 2024 edition of Health Magazine. And in it is me, okay, in Health Magazine. And I at the time was 36 years old. And my title at the time was, get this, corporate diversity leader, a corporate diversity leader in Toledo. This was me in the article. And my quote says, real living means learning to accept yourself. Stretch marks, self-doubts, and all. October 2004. This is how long ago? 21 years ago, right? And as a result of sharing my story to Steve Krull, the chief legal officer, sharing my story to Health Magazine, being in Health Magazine, and then getting an invitation to I went to Integrative Nutrition and being their speaker, it just transformed my life. If I had not shared my story with Steve Krull, if I had not done all the things I did, I would not be here today talking to you about you sharing your story. So I want to pull out the weekly downloads that we give to you guys. For those of you who are subscribed, it's just really important for you to stay in community with people like myself, right? Because people like myself and other women, what we're trying to do is we're trying to give you, as a corporate woman leader, the necessary tools for you to be able to not just thrive in your title, in your work, to say that, oh, we as women close gender equity gaps. Yes, important. But for you to actually stay true to yourself, you are on assignment on this earth for a reason. You're not here just to check a box. You're not here to just, have a weekend filled with, going out and hanging out and to the next Beyonce concert, which is a lot of money. Kudos to Beyonce. But you're not just here just to do that. You're here to fulfill a specific assignment. My job is to help you understand how to do that. And that's by you becoming vulnerable. And I'm going to pull out the download and I want to read this quote to you. It says, when we release shame, guilt, and unforgiveness, we open the door to love, joy, and happiness and your birthright. You open the door to what it is that you are supposed to be doing in this world. And my question to you is, what level of shame are you holding with your story? What level of guilt are you continuously, ruminating on with your story by not sharing your story? What is it that you believe will happen to you if you do actually share your story? What is it? And why don't you believe that that's a part of your brand? It's your brand messaging. And I know for some of you are like, it's not easy. And I get it. I get it. Seriously. But Starbucks here, and just in case Starbucks wants to give me a contract for doing these lives every single week. But my question to you is what is it that you are holding on to that makes you believe that your story doesn't matter? And if you're anything like me, you're probably terrified. Oh my gosh, what is this going to do? How is this going to be perceived? How are people going to take it? What's going to happen? And so you hide and cringe in fear. But when you actually start to realize that your story is the secret to your success, right? Sharing and exploring your story and examining the stories that you even have about your story, right? Learning you and the vulnerability that you can actually achieve to be you is everything that you need to be successful. Why wouldn't you do that? And it's only because you were taught that you got to work really hard, do really hard things, show up, be an imposter, be something that you're not. And even though you don't like that, you don't like being that way, you continuously do it. And then you get mad at people because they're making you do this. Oh, you don't understand. No one's making you do anything. You are choosing to do it because that's the path you thought was your path to success. And it's not your path to power. I'm here to tell you that your path to power comes from understanding who you are and utilizing that as your force. Your degree, your college degree, your PhD, and the skills that you receive on your job will help you be successful in your job. But when you get the skills to understand yourself, and you understand what triggers you, and you understand the power from within, you're not even confined to the title of your job. You're not confined to your work. You are a powerful force that transcends your title, that transcends the four corners of your corporate job. This is the message I'm telling you. And you can have this type of same experience that I get to have in your corporate role. I am a witness. So I want vulnerability to save you. Here's how we're going to help you do that. I want you to start to take a look at our Path to Power, Purpose, and Connection course series. Micro courses to help you get on your own path to power. We're going to put the link in the comments. But what I want you to understand is a few things that no one's going to be telling you. Now, Brene Brown, she talks a lot about this in vulnerability in her Dare to Lead books, which is very profound. And I'm so grateful for her research. But it just can't just be Brene Brown out here talking about this. I am a Brene Brown fan, but I'm also a Brene Brown, a person who believes that Brene Brown's research is something that we all need to have embedded into our lives. It doesn't have to be research. It can actually be your life. So I want you to take advantage of taking our Path to Power, Purpose, and Connection micro course series. I also want to offer you the opportunity to, read my book as an opportunity for you to get inspired. Check out, if you're a person who mentors people, check out my workbook. I have a leadership book that fell. Hold on. The leadership workbook and the workbook, right? If you are a person who wants to help inspire young people or mentor people or just have a book club, this is what you want, right? Yes, this is beautiful. So I just want to let you know that, and I hope this is helpful to you. If you're watching the replay, please put a comment out here. Let me know how vulnerability may have saved you, or if you're interested in vulnerability saving you. So I hope this is helpful. I'm going to be here every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join me live. Come in, have a comment. Let's have a conversation. Let's drink some coffee together. Let's hang out because we need each other, especially during this time period. All right, my friends, see you on Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.